Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome to today's CLANWAR. Today we have Team Liquid versus Alpha X, with the first two players being Elazer, our B tier player, against Zoun, a C tier player. I'm not sure who decided to pick Zoun as a C tier, but in my mind Zoun is either B or A tier. Nah, it's going to be a B tier player. C tier is fairly low for him, I want to say. So our first game is on the way already. We got both players, of course, on screen. This is from the World Team League. And for the people that are not aware how the World Team League format works, let me explain it to you. 3 matches get predetermined and they are played in best of 2 format. That means that 2 maps will be played no matter what. And that score kind of adds on to the overall team score. So we see Liquid on 0, Alpha X on 0 as well. If at the end of the ride the score is 3-3, there will be a single map ace match played. Which the map I think is already predetermined as well. Yeah, the map definitely is predetermined already. And that would be the decider. If a team wins without an ace match, so without that final match, they get 3 points. If they win with an ace match, they get 2 points. If they lose in the ace match, they get a single point. And if they lose without an ace match, they get 0 points whatsoever. Starting here on Waterfall between Elazer and Zoun, a map that is usually considered to be favored for Zerg, due to the easiness of surrounding, having good engagements, the difficulty of having good engagements for Protoss altogether. Now there are a couple of factors which make it slightly easier for TOS. One of these factors is the fact that the initial 4 bases are kind of okay to defend. So playing a very defensive, a very kind of passive style is something that we have seen in the past from Protoss player that has worked out as well. Let's see what we're doing here right now. Ooh, this is a robo first coming out of Zoun. And Zoun has been keen on, whenever he can, just throwing in one of these cheeky robos with a disruptor drop as a follow-up. Sometimes even following it up with a 6-gate all-in. Sometimes with a blink push. There are a lot of different variations that you can go for. And Zoun in general is a player with a very high diversity of build orders. He likes to play something different every single game if he can. Second gate is going to get thrown down here. The beautiful timing as well. That's a 3-minute timing. So when you're playing a fast robo build, you can actually build that gateway a lot faster, but it doesn't do anything for you, as the warp gate just simply won't be done. So you actually want to get it at the same timing you would get that gateway as if it was a Twilight Council build order, a Twilight plus Robo Council build order. So Elazer saw that second gateway, and then because of the timing of the gateway, now doesn't know if it is Robo or Twilight Council, but I bet he's probably leaning a little bit towards that Twilight Council opener, just purely based on that gate timing. There is an observer flying across the map, and yes, an observer is invisible, but you can still kind of see the flickering of the observer, of the invisible unit on the map, if you were paying attention very well. So this could be a tell right now. If Elazer pays very close attention to the map and sees that there's an invisible unit, then it's like, okay, that's an observer. That means it's a robotics facility first. That means that we don't need to be building any type of roaches, just a couple of links, maybe some queens, and continue droning up. Elazer already is up to a very high drone count, as here comes the adept drop. This is just a double adept drop, and this is mainly for a fake. And it's faking 2 things at the same time. One, with the initial move, it kind of tries to fake that it might be a glaive adept attack, so you're forcing out a couple of links. And then the moment the Zerg realizes it's not a glaive adept attack, the Zerg might think, hey, is this DP? And we'll start building spores. Both of these things are good for TOS. So links being built as well as spores being built, that is good for the Protoss player. And indeed it's going to be a disruptor drop as a follow-up. 2 more gateways coming down as well as a Twilight Council. So most likely going to be a blink follow-up. Technically glaive adept is also possible, but it's just extremely unlikely. Prism speed has finished up, more adept being warped in. This is actually a lot of links. This is one of the bad things of actually forcing out units, is that you do need to have enough units yourself to stop the forced out units. There used to be a strategy back in the day in Wings of Liberty, which was called kind of like sharking with a 3-gate opener. So you'd shark around the map with Zealot Sentry, and then your goal was to force out units that weren't drones. But what would often happen is while you're sharking, you would just get caught by the units that you forced out. There was no recall yet, so you just die. That's it. not a very good strategy. And he quit playing it pretty early on in StarCraft 2. A couple of disruptor shots are going to be connecting with links and drones. 3 drones go down. I think 8, 9, 10 links also ended up falling there. We have 4 more stalkers being warped in. 13 more drones on the way here for Elazer, who isn't quite aware of what's going on. I mean, this is a really late Nexus. You gotta know that a couple of extra gateways have been constructed at this point. We see an Evo chamber, 7 more drones. Elazer with an incorrect read here in my mind. Going for way too many drones and not really having enough units. Let's get a cancel on this Nexus. Now this feels good for Elazer, but I don't think it actually matters too much from Zoun's perspective, right? Because Zoun already was planning on all-inning with 7 gates, disruptors. Elazer has hardly any creep out on the map, which means that making an attack work might actually be somewhat viable. Lots of stalkers coming out. 3rd disruptor is here as well. We're hitting at a timing around, what, 645, 650. With, well, what's going to be about 15 stalkers and 3 disruptors. First roaches are just now in production. There are no upgrades on these links. There are a bunch of queens, but with this many disruptors out and with this little creep, queens aren't actually that useful whatsoever. What is this? 15-ish stalkers? Ooh! Zoun actually, rather than going for the middle area to attack, decides to go for the 4th base area. I'm not so sure why this is. There is a battery at home. There's an adept at home as well. That's going to keep that safe. 4 disruptors. No, it's actually 4 disruptors. Holy crap. That's a lot of firepower here. As roaches are going to get connected with disruptor shot from in the far back. Will also connect. Can we get some control perhaps on these disruptors being picked up? No is the answer. Do get some decent blink back micro here coming out of our Korean Protoss player. But looks like Elazer in an okay position. Don't forget. Oh! He doesn't actually need to hold this position. The 4th base isn't necessary to hold. I mean, he's up an entire base in 20 workers as he's pushing this back. And oi. I think Elazer is actually chasing a little bit too far here, off creep especially. That was absolutely not necessary. He's going to lose 2, 3 more queens as well. As Zoun blinks forward. We'll have to pay with 1 or 2 stalkers for that. That's good trades. Those are really good trades. It felt like Elazer had a clean hold, but then he decided to just defend way too far, which was absolutely not necessary. He was up an entire base at 20 workers. All you need to do is survive on 3 base. Even on 2.5 base you could say it's viable because you are getting upgrades. So from long distance mining with 20 workers still gives you more income than someone that doesn't have those 20 workers. And now +1 is about to finish up, but the unit count for Elazer has dropped so much that I don't even think it is going to matter. Elazer looks a little bit upset as Zoun seems to be taking this game here in game number 1. Very solid execution there of the 7-gate disruptor. Elazer initially with the hold, but did not quite manage to keep that lead as he threw it away, trying to chase an army off of creep. That's going to cost his team 1 point. Here we are in the 2nd game between Elazer and Zoun, this time on Cosmic Sapphire, one of the maps that Zergs like to pick as their losers pick. The reason for that is because it's a fairly easy creep spread path, easy to hit 4th base. I think a lot of Zerg players also kind of like the structure of the initial 5 bases, making it difficult for prisms to fly by. There's a Rich Vespene geyser on the 6th as well, which also could play a bit of a role. Elazer opts to take the base on the 3rd base location. Probably got blocked initially here by that probe once again. It's the 2nd time in a row that Zoun managed to pull that little trick off. It's a good one. Do like that trick. Stargate coming down as the first adept is going to get chrono boosted. And now we might see something interesting here. Is this going to be a 2nd adept chrono or just a single adept chrono? That is the real question, of course. Can't quite see it. I wish there was a way on the production tab to see whether a unit is being chrono boosted or not. That would be cool. You could also have it with like overseers, like how overseers when they halt a unit from production by pooping on a building. I feel like the same could be possible for chrono boost. You know, just have a little symbol somewhere in there, or just have like some lightning going around the little symbol. Wouldn't mind it. It's not the case. It's going to be single adept, by the way, here. So, well, there's a 2nd adept, but it's going to stay home because it wasn't chrono boosted. This adept should not cancel. Didn't force out any extra links. Elazer very careful here with his response. Very well thought out. Only 4 links. Lots of drones being produced. I like this start a lot here for our Kelazhur player. Hasn't really taken any damage yet. Now, third base is going to be taken here for Zoun at 343. That is really quick. Especially given this was a pilot scout. Second Oracle is on the way as well already. A couple of links are going to end up falling. That means that Elazer will need to replace some of these links, or the adepts might actually become a bit of an issue later on. This Oracle is looking for damage. I don't think it's quite going to find it. He's just moving back and forth between the main base and that natural base location. I guess this is the third base. Oops. That's 1, that's 2. It's going to be, no, just 2 workers going down here against the Oracle. Zoun with a, ooh! 3 workers with 1 Oracle. That's actually a pretty good trade. Don't forget, Elazer still only on 2 links right now. And we see an extra adept being warped in. Could mean that we'll see 2 adepts starting to move out at this point. I think indeed that's going to be the case. 2 more workers fall, 3 more workers fall. Ooh, don't forget there's a little bit of ping here when they play. So some of that Oracle micro isn't quite as clean as it should be. Zoun taking a big risk there, flying in with the Oracle with only a single HP. Triple adepts coming in, this is what I was talking about. Elazer just not ready whatsoever. Oracle joining in as well. This is the 3rd Oracle. Elazer is going to be forced to pull away completely with these drones. And build 10 more links on top of that as well. Oi, 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 lots of drones going down here. I don't want to say basically ending the game, but definitely putting a dent into his eco. Zoun with a very solid start here. Getting the charge, getting the +1, getting the Templar archives. How's it? So how is it that there's no gases yet on the third base? That was my question for Zoun here. Ideally, you'd be getting those if you want to rush out such a fast Templar archive. At least in my mind. Seems completely content just staying on this low unit count while quickly tacking into other buildings. Actually adding more and more gateways and seems to be heading in towards somewhat of a 7 or 8 gate opener here. Do see these extra gases being constructed right now as the Oracles once again go in. Don't forget, Zoun has already killed a lot of drones in this game, but his Oracles also took a crap ton of damage. 5th base being taken on the gold. That is a bit of a risk here for Elazer. That is quite a massive risk even here for Elazer, who is just now getting his +1. That's extremely late, meaning that +2 is not going to be done anytime soon. You have a couple of Templar being warped in. Elazer will spot that, I think, with those links. I think he saw that. Throws down a Spire in response. That is an interesting call here. The moment you see Archons being produced and no 4th base, you usually know it's going to be a rather dedicated attack. I mean, the information is here. There's no 4th base yet, 7 minutes into the game. You know there's going to be 8 to 12 gateways done already. Seeing that Spire over extra roaches being produced is an interesting call. And don't forget, the longer the 4th base gets delayed, usually the more dedicated this push is going to be, right? Elazer, yeah, should just be building roaches at this point, and he's doing just that. I like that a lot. It's completely the correct call. Creep spread on the right side is non-existent. On the left side, it's pretty okay. The question is it going to be okay enough? Not so sure. There's a big push here coming in. 1 Oracle gets targeted down. 2nd Oracle almost gets targeted down. Queens are now chasing. Ling Run By will not really be capable of doing anything. 4 Archons get pushed back here by this Roach Force. Feels like Elazer is going to stay alive, and Zoun, with a lot of investment here into this push, is going to get pushed back. And now the Muras can come out. The problem with this Mura transition is that it's being done off a very, very low eco. If this was 82 workers, 8 gas, I'd say, okay, this is alright. But because Elazer had such a poor early game, he doesn't have that worker count. He's going for +2 melee, has a lot of roaches, which are practically useless as well when it comes to an attack. Might be capable of cancelling this 4th base though. If I were Zoun, I would not want to defend that, that's for sure. Yeah, that's 100% the correct call. Zealot moves towards the gold base, scouts it. Ooh. There's a Muta being taken out for free. Second Muta almost being taken out. Zealot gets a couple of drone kills here. 2. As the fort base gets rebuilt here for Zoun. That single Zealot pulling the entire army to the left side was a huge move, honestly. I'm a big fan of that. I think every single Oracle, except maybe one, went down. As well during the big attack that Zoun went for. Which is really not ideal. Archon drop. It's not going to be a drop, but it's going to be used defensively most likely. If the Mutas try to get in towards the main base. Okay, so there's still one Oracle alive trying to attack this army. Oracle will end up... No. Staying alive, at least for now. Prism with Archons in it, kind of functioning as a bait here. There we go. Oop, that was one Mutak being taken out. More roaches pushing in towards the natural as well right now. As the Zealot run by hits the gold at the same time. Disruptor shows up, will take out a couple of roaches. Second Disruptor shot is not going to hit anything. No pull away on these drones. That means that 7-8 drones will die before anything significant happens. Now the reinforcements will come in at the same time. Phoenix is taking out the Mutas. Elazer getting out multitask a little bit here by Zoun, who's just playing slightly faster than his opponent currently. Baneling speed not quite done yet. 10 minutes into the game. +1 finishing up for the Mutalisk, but this is not a mass Muta game. This is going to be a Baneling game, if anything. That is what Elazer is quite good at as well. Very nice income. Even with only 78 workers, of course, that will definitely going to be helping out. Wouldn't mind seeing an infestation pit. Ooh, Baneling speed finishing up in a couple of seconds. +2 finishing up at the same time, but it felt like a lot of the army, the tanking army, had already disappeared. It's pure Baneling left at this point. Now they're coming in, taking out a lot of these Stalkers, but this is definitely a very good fight here for Zoun, who's cleaning up every single Baneling, still has a decent chunk of money in the bank. Roaches now coming in, beautiful lift up here with the Phoenixes, saving those Disruptors. Usually when your Disruptors get lifted by Phoenixes, you're not too happy, but this was a nice move, because this is going to immediately allow Zoun to counterattack. If it wasn't for those Disruptor saves, maybe Mass Roach would be difficult, but no. GG gets caught. Zoun takes 2 map wins here for Alpha X. And yeah, putting Liquid in a pretty difficult position already from the get-go. Second series is going to be between Ragnarok, our A-tier player with a total score of 80, and Kelazhur, who is a C-tier player with a 68 score. That's a higher total score than Zoun that Kelazhur has. That actually somewhat surprises me. I feel like Zoun is extremely underrated. At least in my mind, at least by the WTL people. Zoun is a very solid player that performs extremely well majority of the time. I'm surprised he's rated. He had 63 points. That's 5 lower than Kelazhur. That is surprising. I would not put Zoun much lower than Kelazhur. I don't even think I would put Zoun lower than Kelazhur. Man, I love having to rate people. This is one of my favorite things of this entire thing, is that they all have these ratings and they're all fairly off as well in my mind. And I can comment on it with my professional opinion. Of course, if any of you have your professional opinion as well, or your amateur opinion, be sure to tell me all about it. I'm fairly curious. Ragnarok being an A-tier player also is a little bit yikesy to me in a way. Yes, he's performing very well in the GSL, but that's the only place where he usually tends to perform well, no? I can't really recall him performing very well anywhere else, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just underestimating Ragnarok. It's completely possible, of course. It feels like he's overperforming a little bit in the GSL rather than underperforming everywhere else. But maybe I'm wrong. I think 8. The thing is, they didn't give Beyond an A tier. If they would have given Beyond A tier, I would say, okay, Ragnarok, you can be A tier as well if you want to. I don't care. But they gave Beyond B tier and Ragnarok A tier, and that's what pissed me off. I think Beyond is better than Ragnarok. In my mind, he is. In my heart, he is, perhaps. I don't know. It feels unfair. Anyway, what do we have over here? We have CC first coming out of Kelazhur, and a pool first coming out of Ragnarok with pretty quick speed. That's going to finish at, what, it's 79 seconds? So, two... 259, 258, something like that, I think. Sounds about right. I think it started at like 140. So maybe just like right at the 3-minute mark, speed is going to finish. That is very fast for speed. That is really, really quick. It's building a lot of links with this as well. This is a This is extremely committed. I wonder what's going to happen with the first real inject that happens on top of that. Like, are all of the larvae that come out of the inject also going to be links? I think so. This is just a link flood. He's just link flooding Kelazhur here. Look at this. A tier player versus C tier player. Yet it's the A tier player that puts on the aggression right now. You absolutely hate to see it if you're a C tier player fan. Oi, this is gonna get really scary. This could also hit exactly when the swap is between the... Ooh, second factory in the way. But we'll talk about that later. First, let's take a look at this opener here. And speed finishes up at... It's actually going to be 259. Oh my god, what a call. Beautiful stuff. 2 workers will go down for free. No. Instead, Ragnarok decides to just run up the ramp. I mean, your SCVs are that you don't want to lift or you don't want to lower the depot here to get the SCVs back in, because the SCVs, they come with a present, and that present is going to be 10 extra links as well. 2 SCVs against this many links built in the early game, such a quick speed. Feels like a fairly decent opener here for Kelazhur in my mind. That's a lot of money. No, my god, are you mental? No! What? Oh my god, what an insane move. That was not correct. Right? Gets his second factory scouted for free, and that's one of the main reasons why this is incorrect. It isn't necessarily about the damage that this dealt, but it's the fact that Ragnarok just gets a complete free scout here on that second factory. Why would you allow that? The entire point of the second factory is that it's going to be a good hidden build. You can get your, what's it called, pre-ignited infernal flames, also known as the blue flame hellions. I think I'm mispronouncing it. Infernal pre-igniter, I think that's it. Now instead he's gonna get a tank out. He's just playing... What? Okay, 2 factory, tank, hellion, into starport, into a 3rd command center. I actually believe that Ragnarok might just be fine, because this build is so non-economical here. 4 roaches are being constructed, 5 roaches are being constructed. Now this could be defensively, but it could also just be for an attack here. Fusion core on the way. Now we get the infernal pre-igniter, so the blue flame. This is a very, very curious situation that we find ourselves in, isn't it? With 1 tank out already, I don't think Ragnarok wants to ever move across the map. He is building more links though. He's adding another overlord, well 60. Okay, he's actually gonna go for it. He just scouted a tank. And his response to scouting a tank is to double down on this build. He's like, yeah, tank is annoying, but you know what's more annoying is 3 Ravagers and 35 links. Here comes the Ravager link push. No Banshee is going to be out. I guess that's one of the main reasons why this could still work, right? You know that there's not going to be a Banshee. Which is kind of a big deal usually. Lots of links are being spotted right now. I think Kelazhur should have figured out at this point what's kicking off. Is there a full wall in the front? I think the answer is no. Oh my god, that tank is way too far forward as well. It's just going to get taken out straight away by these Ravagers. Nice control out of Ragnarok, who is dealing a fair chunk of damage already. Hellions will get surrounded as well. Battlecruiser on the way. Don't think that's going to finish up in time. More Hellions are returning back home, but Kelazhur seems to be in a world. I can't believe that this worked. I feel like this got scouted. There's the tank in the wrong position, I guess. Battlecruiser halfway done is not going to help either. Blue Flame has finished up right now. It almost feels like a tower defense, like an amazing game. And the ones you play in like Warcraft 3, like Winter Mall Wars or something like that. All these units, they need to walk a certain path before they get to the sweet prize, which in this case is going to be the free SCV. This game is right now. Battlecruiser might be capable of doing something, and also those Hellions with the blue flames could actually force out a couple of roaches now that I think about it. Perhaps in combination with good control on the tank. Maybe. Gets taken out there in the last second. The last shot that the roach did ever. Now BC is going to need to teleport across the map. Gets to teleport across the map. There is a spore. There are 2 queens. I think one of the queens probably will end up falling, and a couple of workers will also go down, but a lot more is needed here. 6 more roaches on the way. That is the correct call out of Ragnarok, because you need something to deal with the Hellions that are still left over. Don't forget, with Blue Flame you can get a lot of damage done. Ragnarok has plenty of Overlords, so this isn't going to hurt him too much. Yeah, cars are going to get taken out here, so I think this is game. I think Kelazhur could leave right now. It's triple SCV production, getting a second battle cruiser, getting Yamato. Yes, layer is extremely delayed, but I don't think it actually matters. One more queen might fall. No, transfuse is available. I mean, this feels so bad right now for the Liquid player. And that would also be really bad for Team Liquid. If they were to go 0-3 here, it means that the next game could be the deciding game. Kelazhur is going to stick around for a bit longer though. He continues building more SCVs, continues with his mech production of 2 factories. He's definitely going to need another factory at some point. As well as a 3rd battle cruiser on the way. Maybe there's something here though. What if, right? What if he gets 2 BCs out with the Yamatos? How many queens are there really? Like 6, 7? You can maybe deal some real damage here. That is possible. It is possible that you deal some real damage. 4th base for Ragnarok is just now starting. Yes, the 3rd base for Kelazhur also has just now landed, but I think this... It still just looks bad. Honest to God. 3rd factory on the way. And here come the... Oh, wow. That's a lot of queens. Yeah, okay, this just looks terrible. Honest to God, this just looks like hot garbage. Didn't quite realize it was gonna be this bad. The reason why it looks a little bit better right now is because Ragnarok is floating so much money. Actually, just has 1800 minerals in the bank, or 1800 gas and 900 minerals. The moment the Spire finishes up, like the supply is going to heavily swap back into favor of Ragnarok. So yeah, it looks very dire here for the Terran player, especially knowing how good Ragnarok is with these Corruptor Roach pushes. He loves doing them. There's just not that many units out now. We have 12 Corruptors coming in. A little bit of damage is at least being dealt with these BCs, which is nice to see. Quick response there out of Ragnarok, pulling these drones away once more. These BCs are just a constant threat here. One more queen is going to end up falling. Maybe 2 more queens. Oh my god, there's a lot of queens actually going down, and that could severely impede the ability of Ragnarok to later on move across the map. Hellions also coming in right now. Not really targeting down the correct units though. These drones, they escaped way too easily in my mind. These cars not doing the job that they could have. 6 drones will go down, but at the same time 12 Hellions go down. Kelazhur also floating an extraordinary amount of money right now. And unlike Zerg, you don't have larva that you can just save up. No, you actually need to be continuously building stuff. And there are a couple of tanks available. Battle cruisers are in major trouble right now. We have this mass repair going on. With the 4th BC coming out, this might actually be possible. Nice. Yamato cannon gets used as well. There's still 87 workers though here for Ragnarok. But this is going to get pushed back. 4th base finishes up for Kelazhur as well. And he actually finds himself in a position where, yes, he's behind economically, but I think he's holding. He's not dead. And I really thought he was gonna die to the next push. It felt like this situation was so good here for Ragnarok. Who's building 10, 11 more Corruptors here, by the way. Wants to continue fighting these BCs. It's like, I hate fighting against BCs. Let me just make sure that they won't be around ever again. He wants to be capable of bursting them down even when being repaired by 35 SCVs. Which is fair play, I guess. BCs can be insanely annoying. They constantly have to deal with it. They always teleport away. They bother the ever-living crap out of me as well. If BCs were any good against us, of course. Which they are. BC is going to end up falling. No, teleport away just in time. Very nice. That one doesn't teleport away in time. Next to will. That's a -1 BC. Good little trade there for Ragnarok. Could probably attack with these Corruptors because these BCs are very low. There is a crap ton of Corruptors out. There's a lot of money as well right now for Ragnarok. Look at that. He's rich. What? He's done this against Gumio as well in the GSL. He's played this. The random swarm host transitions, which are kind of cool. And they kind of work as well. If they come as a complete surprise, like you just don't have the Hellbats ready in position, you just don't have the sensor towers and the turrets. I guess there are 2 sensor towers on the map already, so that's nice. But having some turrets also super useful. Turret deals an insane amount of damage, right? So either Locusts need to hit the floor to clear the turret, and that way your tanks can deal with the Locust, or the turret will deal with the Locust while it's flying, and the turret gets completely ignored. So either way, it's usually kind of good to have turrets just spread around your bases if you know you're facing swarm hosts. Nidus network is being constructed as well right now. First swarm host gets taken out. I think Kelazhur sees it and it's like, if I can morph my units into Helbets right now, which he definitely can and definitely should be doing right away. Helbets still not being morphed here for some reason. That's a little bit sloppy there. Helbets are a real necessity in defending this type of crap. DC's potentially in trouble as well. Turret there, also kind of blasting away some of these Corruptors. 21 workers will end up falling, but a large portion of the army stays alive. Triple Thor on the way, another BC being built as well. That's interesting that the moment Kelazhur scouts the swarm host, he decides to go back into BC production. He wants to probably just Yamato his swarm host every couple of minutes, or just deal with the locust waves while they're flying in with those BCs, which is also a pretty decent call, of course. Nidus worms being plopped down absolutely everywhere. I'm surprised how much a game this still is after the good early game for Ragnarok. We have a locust wave going into the main. I take out these armories. That would actually be painful. You'd love to have some of these armories going for you. Especially the +2 attack is going to suck losing that. Factory also doesn't get lifted there. Floppy defense once more. First few Thors are out though, which is useful. One Helbets gets sent over to deal with the Nidus Worm and will indeed deal with it. 28 Banelings being constructed behind this as we have more and more swarm hosts moving in right now. This is a lot of swarm. This is 14 or 13 swarm hosts. We'll get another wave and immediately pop into the next Nidus Worm and are like, adios, I'm out of here, buddy. Not today. No Helbets being morphed still. Here we finally go, but oi oi oi. Baneling's going to connect with a lot of these Cyclones. We'll also start connecting with these SCVs. Planetary gets taken out. Command Center is low, but the Corruptor's out of position. Means that this will stay alive for now. At the same time, a Hellion... No, that's not a Hellion run by. That's a BC run by. That's a really cool move, and that's what forced these Corruptors back home, I guess. Might actually get this hatchery here, which is somewhat impactful. There are only 5 mining bases currently for Ragnarok. Oh, one more BC might go down. No, just barely survives. A lot of these Corruptors falling into the deep red, though. And with the Thors out as well, it feels like the time for the Corruptor is pretty much over. I'd love to see more and more BC still being produced here. Would really help in the defense and in the potential offense. Don't forget, every Corruptor is a unit that isn't on the ground. Like the moment you have a Corruptor, you can build a crap ton of Banelings. The Corruptors cost a lot of supply. Oh, BCs are perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Thor's also in a little bit of trouble though. I think one BC ended up falling there. Thor's just completely focusing on the ground rather than attacking some of these Corruptors. But like some important units died there for Kelazhur, but at the same time didn't really lose too many SCVs. And once you stabilize once or twice against the swarm host waves, you can usually kind of stabilize forever. We now have Ghost in production as well. We have +2 attack once again being rebuilt, which is just going to be so massively important here for Kelazhur, of course. Who's really making a game out of this. Nice little resources lost there. A lot more lost for Ragnarok, despite him playing with Swarm Host. Usually a good sign if you're a Terran player. I wonder if this mode is actually the best mode for the Thor. Now that I think about it, wouldn't you want to be using the splash mode? This is the Locust, they fly so close to one another. A couple of queens once again get taken out. Don't forget, there's no attack upgrades whatsoever here on these PCs. Do need to teleport out fast. They managed to teleport out. In these types of scenarios, it feels like having like even just a +1 would be huge. Increases your damage output so much because the attack speed of PCs is so insanely high. A few ghosts are being constructed. We're gonna see a late game coming out of Ragnarok, which is surprising to me. We don't see too many late games out of him. Sure, he can play it. It's not his regular bread and butter. It's like a Sunday bread and butter, you know. Sunday is always a special day when it comes to like breakfast, I think. Get your pancakes or your French toast. Yeah, something interesting. At least for my family, it always used to be that way. It's the same for Ragnarok here. This is his special breakfast on the Sunday. Gets to play a late game. It's not even Sunday though, but it feels like a Sunday. Ooh. DCs actually get caught. Oh, this is really bad. This is awful. Oh no. Because this removes so much pressure from Ragnarok's side of the map, right? Otherwise these BCs are always going to be capable of just flying across the map, dealing some damage. Now you don't really have any mobile way of dealing with this type of run by either. Ghost can perhaps snipe. There we go, one Corruptor gets taken out, but a lot of these buildings will get blasted. Feels like Kelazhur is going for an all-in attack. I'm not sure if I agree with this, because he was trading okay-ish. He just lost his BCs just now. Yeah, I think he needs to go back home. Does end up taking out 2 hatcheries though. This is actually only 4 hatch against 4 CC. It still feels fairly playable. I like this. What is the actual factory count left though? How many did we lose there against that Corruptor flyby? Just puking on your buildings. It's always painful to see. The funny thing is, as long as this command center isn't actually a planetary, sending in a locust wave doesn't do that much. A couple of Hellions get taken out here. Tanks on the high ground helping out as well. What are the upgrades for the air? We're only at +2. No carapace upgrade. Okay, here come a lot of locusts. Ghost in the back will need to start helping out. Ravager's also dumping a couple of Baals on these stores. Good trades all around here though for Ragnarok. Okay, was that a good trade actually? Sometimes say things and then I immediately regret it. Not sure if this is one of the cases. Command center most likely is going to end up falling. Yeah, just some auto attacks here. Good, very good control of these run-bys out of Ragnarok every single time. It feels so solid. The only problem for Ragnarok really is that he's kind of out of cash. His drone count is insanely low. Yes, his army is huge, but he isn't even maxed at this point. If Kelazhur manages to stabilize on 5 bases for another minute and a half, he's going to max out on an insane army with Ghost, Thor, Tank, Hellbat, good upgrades. Like, this base can't die. It's the most important thing here. If we get a repair, I don't think it's going to die, but we don't really get a full repair. A lot of SCVs not doing anything as the Locusts take out that base. That was really, really painful. Kelazhur did not quite pay attention there, at least not close enough. Now these ghosts could be in a little bit of trouble. They're very far forward. Feels like Kelazhur is too keen on expanding quickly, despite it not really being necessary in this case, I think. If you're going for an eventual split map scenario, you can take it a little bit slow as long as you have some mining, which this 5th base definitely should provide. Hellion run-bys towards the top side could be useful, of course, but anything else I don't think is like... I don't think 12 ghosts need to take out a Nidusworm on the top side of the map. Feels like a waste of resources being used somewhere, you know? These are defensive resources that you can be looking to use at the bottom, where that's what's going to matter right now, this bottom side. We have a 5th base going up there. We need to secure that. It's just absolutely key at this point. Yes, of course, this 3rd base and the main also need to be safe. It is important, but the mining right now is absolutely vital. No anti-air here, except for this one turret. Locust once again will take out a couple of these tanks. Every single Locust wave seems to be a little bit of a party here. There's a lot of snipes, by the way. A lot of snipes taking out a bunch of these Corruptors. I feel like just leaving 5 ghosts at one of those bases wouldn't even be a bad call necessarily. Like, you already have tanks there defensively. You could leave 1 or 2 Hellbats for potential Ling run-bys as well. Then a couple of ghosts, just like a really big pre-split army. It just allows you to defend things so much easier than constantly having to reactively split. Reactively splitting is so much harder than blind pre-splitting. And even if the... hold that thought as we have another big engagement here. Banelings rolling in, trying to connect with a lot of these ghosts. Will not quite get the ghost connections, but every single tank is going to get blasted here. Kelazhur, I think, realizes at this point as well that this isn't quite it. Without any backbone to these ghosts and they're just going to flop around like a bunch of useless idiots. That's not quite what you want. I mean, there's a couple of Hellions, but that's going to be it. Here comes a big Lynx around. No tanks in the back to help out. And yeah, no Helbets in the front either. Now there's 3 tanks finally showing up. We'll siege up. I think it's just going to be a little bit too late, though. I think it's just going to be a little bit too late. Ay. And actually, 8 ghosts still stay alive. Used to be 40, now it's 8. Being run by here towards the top side. Units are in position though. The funny thing is that Ragnarok still only stuck on 66 workers. Which means that his army every single time he fights is huge. It also means that he needs good fights. Like he can't just take crappy fights. He's not really taking crappy fights, so I guess it's fine. Yeah, another tank line is going to get wiped out. Here we get a surround on a lot of these ghosts. Hellions in the far back. Will not quite be enough. 4 more ghosts go down here. It's only 4 remain out of these initial group of 14. 5 Broodlords are being morphed in as well. Ravager's still alive. Baneling count is rising rapidly. And Kelazhur has truly lost at this point. Felt like this was a rather long death animation. Where at times you believed he got revived back into the game. And then he was like, no, he's still dead. It's one of those sad scenarios. Where you kind of hope that he comes back and you almost start to believe again. I think this is the worst, when you really start to believe again that it's possible, and then your hope gets absolutely squashed once more. Painful, but truthful as well. As right now, like 145 supply of mech still is somewhat viable, but we've had situations where it was 180 against 180. And we still saw Ragnarok take good fights. Like Ragnarok, when it comes to fighting, is just very, very competent at it. Just understands how to fight these fights with the Swarm Host, with the Banelings rolling in from the side, with the Ravagers in the back as well. This isn't going to do too much, I think. I think a Planetary will stay alive, 3 workers will go down. That's nice. That means that you basically have a wave's time right now, where a major fight most likely isn't going to be happening, and lots of snipes as well going down, taking out every single Swarm Host. That was huge. Okay, that actually was really big, because there's not that many Vespene gas. There's not that much Vespene gas at all. Look at the army values, fairly similar here. Broodlords coming in though. No Thors anymore alive, and tanks are in a bit of trouble. Ghost in the back still here. Kelazhur lives to die another day, perhaps. Like, this is the problem. He stays alive, and then your hope it comes back. But it shouldn't be. It isn't really here. It is all over. It is all over. $135 supply against 190. The game will continue, of course. I forgot to say something there for a little bit. In my mind, the game was actually over. Once his base falls, it really is over. That's important to note as well. Like, now this army is completely all in, and this mech can't be all in. Like, if mech is all in, it needs to be maxed. It needs to be maxed. You need to have 333 upgrades, and your opponent can't have any bank left. But this is an army that is not maxed, but has no economical backing, which is just a huge issue. It's just a huge issue. I always wonder how important vehicle plating is in this composition compared to the ship weapons upgrade. If you think about how influential the PCs can be in the early parts of the late game still as well, it feels like there might be something there. Ragnarok wins game number 1 though, and that means that he puts Alpha X at match point, as he looks rather unimpressed. Alright, game number 4 here on Stargazers. The map choice of Kelazhur, our meching Terran player, and Ragnarok, well, he has to live with it. Like I said, no vetoes. There's nothing to be done about it. If you want, you're gonna play Stargazer. You could also be playing Waterfall. This makes me believe, though, that we're gonna be seeing another mech game, or at least another camping game. And whenever Kelazhur camps, he usually plays mech. Because if he wanted to all in, like I think if you're a worse player, which I think Kelazhur is a worse player than Ragnarok in a more regular macro game, right? You want to be doing one of the two things. Either you want to be playing for a long camping game on a map like Stargazers, where split map scenarios are very Terran favored, or two, you want to be going for an all-in. If you want to go for an all-in, Waterfall is the map for it, right? You're gonna pick Waterfall 9 out of 10 times as a Terran player then. Or Moondance even, for all I care. But Stargazers immediately tells me that this is going to be a more macro-focused opener, a more macro-focused game plan coming out of Kelazhur because of that. Also, for the people that don't know how this gets picked, like who plays who in these clan wars, basically a couple of days before, you need to make a lineup of players. Now, this is not, you don't know the maps yet, which are going to be put down. You don't know where your opponent's players are going to be. So you basically send 3 players in a certain order. So for my team, Shopify Rebellion, we could say 1 HARSTEM, 2 Beyond, 3 Scarlet. And then we'd be playing the players of the other team that are in 1, 2, and 3. So if it is Kelazhur in 1 and Elazer in 2 and Clem in 3, then I would get to play against Kelazhur, Beyond would get to play against Elazer, and Scarlet would have to play against Clem. And there's no switching or swapping that you can do at that point anymore. That is also the point where the first map gets announced. So you can get very lucky when it comes to maps and opponents. You can also get very unlucky when it comes to maps and opponents. It's always great if you're playing against a Terran and the first map you play on is Stargazer or something like that. Then you basically get 2 lives, especially if it's against a better Terran player, right? Imagine you're playing against Maru in a PvT. Your first map is Stargazer. That means that the second map you still get to pick a very good map if you lose the first one. So you have 2 chances to really steal a map away from, well, Maru I think is an S tier player. In my case I'm a C tier player. So, you know, it's a bit of a mismatch, but with those advantages you can still do something. It's going to be a Raven opener here against a Overlord Speed start coming out of Ragnarok. Interesting. Very interesting opener. 3rd was built practically on location as well, near those mineral patches on the 3rd base. Do you want a fake cloak here, or do you just not give a crap at all? I guess Kelazhur just doesn't give a crap at all. Oh, he's building a fusion. What? Raven Fusion Core start here, coming out of Kelazhur. Okay. Now, I thought I'd seen it all, but this I don't think I had quite seen before. I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't know you could actually play Raven into Battlecruiser. This feels insanely greedy, no? Usually you get a Viking first. Did the nice scouting, or... I don't know, it feels greedy. I'm not sure how greedy this actually is. Ooh, nice. So it's actually gonna get 1 or 2 kills here as well. Gets 1 drone, gets 2 drones. Might even get 3. Yep, there we go. 3 drones and 2 links. That's not a bad start at all for that first auto turret. BC should have started a while ago already. Killers are a little bit slow with clicking the button. Happens to the best. Just realized we're gonna head into a mech game, and I decided to take a quick coffee break between this game and the last one. But my coffee wasn't cold enough yet to drink. Personally, I'm a big fan of drinking my coffee, you know, 5 minutes or 6 minutes after I made it. Otherwise, it's way too hot. And I burn my mouth, and then I can't taste anything for the next 6 days. So I'm someone that really enjoys just... Ooh, hold that thought. There's a lot of cars, actually. There's nothing in position. I mean, there's a couple of links. I feel like if this gets microed well, we could see a lot of damage. Queens sure are in position, but links have pretty much died at this point. More links are in. Oh my god, not great target fire. A lot of shots just going on the queens there. 9 workers end up falling, but all Hellions also go down. Now let me go back to my story about my coffee. I like it 5 minutes after, you know, you can easily drink it at that point. It's still warm enough that it has the powerful oomph. But I made it before this game. We're already 6 minutes in. I was kind of hoping we were going to see an all-in. At some point during this, I'll be quiet for a little bit. That's when I'll be sipping my half-full coffee because I forgot about it. Try it now. Still slightly too warm. I just don't like it, but in general it's the same with soup. And with food in general. I'm a very quick eater and a very quick drinker, but the one thing I absolutely can't stand is food that is too hot, or drinks that are too hot. And then people always think I eat slow, but I just can't start yet. I think the speed of my eating is very good. And it's one of the things I'm the most proud of. My dad always told me that I should eat slower because it's bad for your stomach. But I've trained my stomach at, digesting the food very quickly or not getting upset by eating very quick. I'm a true believer in training your stomach. That's also why I've been eating jars of jalapenos for weeks now. My stomach hasn't been trained completely yet. I still spend 5 hours a day on the toilet, but one day in the future, the jar of jalapeno training program is going to pay off, that's for sure. I hope. The Raven is really cool here. It allows for kind of this constant threat on your creep. And creep is really important against mech because it gives you a lot of information on where the Hellion Rumbites are going to go. It also gives you information on the battle cruiser positioning often, so overall just hugely beneficial to have creep against mech. Second BC coming in from a different angle as well. I like the way that the Kelazhur is playing. This cannot... Oh my god, who's attacking Corruptor here? Oh, gets to teleported back home just in time. Taking out the Extractor here. The target fire, the detail in these engagements. I feel like the eye for detail is what Kelazhur is kind of lacking here, right? I feel like this could have been 5 or 6 extra drone kills if it wasn't for attacking that Corruptor in the, what was it, the fourth base and not attacking the Extractor in the main base. I feel like it's just small things that really add up over time. I still do believe that Kelazhur is in a fantastic position, and especially considering how last game went, this is an absolutely brilliant position. Once again, we're seeing Swarm Host here coming in. 7 Swarm Host. This time I think Kelazhur is a lot more ready. I don't know if we already have the Blue Flame. It is possible there is no Blue Flame, but even without Blue Flame... Ooh, there's double reactor on Factory. That's something you don't see a lot. Often you see 4 Tech Lab, 1 reactor, but here we're seeing 4 Hellions being produced at a time, which usually means that it's going to be a double reactor. That is super cool. Look at this Hellion count. That's kind of crazy. Nice surround. Could have been a Warcraft 3 player. Could have actually been a Warcraft 3 player. Raptor's going to puke a little bit on one of these refineries. It's annoying because you do need gas if you're playing mech, but it's also not the end of the world because you're already on 8 gas, so losing 1 isn't that bad. Look at this, by the way. -3 armor. I still can't believe that the orange spell does -3 armor. Oh, Raven's going to end up dying here for pretty much free. -3 armor is actually insane. That is 3 entire upgrades that get undone by 1 spell. I always thought Guardian Shield was mental. Just adding 2 armor already in a well-armored army. Freaking -3 is just insane to me. Especially given the reality of the high fire rate of Marines, right? And BCs. Ravens are... I still believe this. I truly believe that Ravens are the most underused unit in the late game. Purely because of the anti-armor missile. You could have 5 Ravens, and if only 1 manages to cast an anti-armor missile, that is still probably worth it. Having maybe 50 supply of your opponent's army being -3 armor, like that is crazy stuff. That is actually mental. That also was not that great there when it comes to fights. Losing a bunch of Hellions for free. Locust moving in. Turrets are dealing a lot of damage. This is what I was talking about last time as well. When you have these turrets, they just help so much in dealing with these initial Locust waves. 5th base is on the way. Triple BC squad flying towards the bottom side of the map. Wasn't actually attacking the creature there for some reason. Now we'll get 3 Corruptors and get some teleport back home. That's just the beauty of... that's just the beauty of battle cruisers, right? Every single time your Yamato is off cooldown, you just get resources worth, like a lot of resources worth of kills, just for free, basically. That's, in my opinion, quite good. Oh, there's a lot of things here. Good splits coming out of Ragnarok. Kelazhur with an okay setup, takes out every single Baneling on the bottom side there. Did the command center just die? He forgot to lift the CC. That is quite bad, but also really not the end of the world. Because right now, Kelazhur doesn't really need to be mining from a 5th yet. Like, he would like to be mining from a 5th, and he probably feels bad for not lifting it, because I mean, let's face it, that is a pretty bad move. But at the same time, it's like, does it really matter that much? No. He has plenty of cash in the bank. He's still mining 3k a minute. He's 1200 gas coming in as well. Like, he is absolutely A-okay. Taking out a lot of these creatures here in the middle of the map. Perhaps take out that one bailing as well. Nice. Little too many connections there in my mind. This Swarm Host Wave is going to head in towards the natural, but you can just lift that base, so shouldn't be too big of an issue. Yeah, you lift it, but maybe he doesn't want to lift it because of the Corruptor. Well, might have wanted to lift it a bit faster. I was going to lose it most likely. He wants to land it again. Let's see if this can stay alive. It's going to be real close. No, it's going to fall. 4 battlecruisers make their way to the other side of the map. We'll take out the bottom side base. I don't think the Corruptors can get back in time. The question right now that I have is, are there enough Corruptors to take out a... Hello? You might... No? It's not that important, I guess? He wants to kill drones. He's a drone hunter. Look at that. Might want to target the drones as well. Fight in the middle of the map. Swarm Host Wave coming in. Baneling's also connecting. Kelazhur, where is it? Losing a lot of the mech army. Loses one of the BCs as well. Second BC falling low. This is a really bad sequence. An extremely bad sequence, you could say even. Do not like that whatsoever. 50C was being built in location and a single Ling dealt a bit of damage there, which is quite annoying. 48 more Banelings on the way. Oi, 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 oi. Actual pain. 102 Banelings have died already, 6 stores. Only 1 BC has gone down, but there's 1 BC too many. I mean, if you have an ability to fly out of there for free, and with the HP that they have, you never really should lose any. New Swarm Host Wave coming in. Oop. They changed their shooting mode, the doors there. 4 BC still out. That's not enough Corruptors, I don't think so. Command Center needs to be lifted. Lots of workers will end up falling. Kelazhur once again in a very poor position right now. And only 125 supply. Still has good income, which you should be happy with. Has a good amount of command centers, orbital commands. I think the bottom side is already a planetary right now. Is that a 5th BC? That could actually be a bit of a saving grace, no? Corruptor count isn't that high. I like this. If he gets like 5 Corruptor, yeah, teleport on that. Oh, beautiful. Oh no, doesn't actually get to keep it alive. Takes out 2 more Corruptors with just auto attacks. Teleports the BCs back home. These Locusts force a lift up. But because there are no Corruptors, they are not the end of the world. 18 more workers are being taken out, huh? Because the workers didn't really get transferred away properly from that 5th base. I think here Kelazhur actually did a good job on the that 3rd base that he had. Coffee is indeed cold at this point. It is what it is. I've given up. I still believe that getting ship weapons against this is more useful than the vehicle plating. What does the vehicle plating really do in these fights? It feels like it's all really big impact damage anyways. Either Banelings or Locusts, which is very high damage output. Surely ship weapons is just better than vehicle plating if you're getting this many battlecruisers anyway, right? Kind of what it feels like. If you know your opponent likes these swarm hosts and you know that your response to these swarm hosts is getting the BCs, I think starting with ship weapons makes a lot of sense. Because a lot of the fights and a lot of the harassment that Kelazhur can do seems to kind of revolve around the BCs. No cancel there. This is only 4, 5 Corruptors. 4 will get taken out. A couple more is going to fly in right now. No BC dies. That's good. 3 Lings will take out a bunch of workers and also 1 or 2 mules before they get to make their final trip. Doesn't matter that much. They were going to explode anyway, so life is life. There are 5 BCs here. Yeah, I don't know. I really think this is a mistake, not having the ship weapon. This is a good fight though. Very good defensive fight. Lots of Thors in position. Hellions in position. Tanks in good spots as well. This bottom side base being an orbital is painful. But at the same time it's also useful because it allows you to just kind of lift it whenever you want. I think a tank here is a necessity, not a luxury anymore. sensor tower on the bottom side also probably would be useful. A quick scan might save him. What was that Overlord doing? One can wonder. No ghost being produced yet, by the way, which is interesting. I guess Kelazhur hasn't really found the time or the tools to get into that. Taking out one of his own mules there with the splash, always painful. Gold base is going to get cancelled before the BCs even arrive. What's the current corruptor count? I think it's at like 12 or so. Oh. I wonder, I want to see these BCs down there, but the observer isn't showing it. There we go. I think one battle cruiser got taken out. There used to be 5, now there's only 4. Oh no, it got teleported back home faster. Cool. Was on the far right side already. Then that probably was a good trade indeed for Kelazhur, who's very low in worker supply and thus has a pretty massive army. He's actually going for a straight out push out. Straight up push out. I think this is an interesting call. Or I find it a very interesting call. There's a lot of money in the bank for Ragnarok, but if Ragnarok doesn't trade on Kelazhur's side first, this feels pretty playable here for Kelazhur. He's pushing out, taking out a lot of creep right now. Of course, Ragnarok needs to wait for the next Swarm Host wave, which is going to happen in a couple of seconds from now. There we go. No, there we go, not yet. This is a huge surround that is being set up. Holy crap. 3, 2, 1, go! Would have been sick if he went. Life is difficult. Oh, he's gonna wait for an unsiege. And then, oh my god, here we go. Swarm Host will use their Locust ability. Banelings coming in from the back. Good target fire on these tanks, by the way. Oh my god, lots of Banelings being taken out before they ever reach this army. Now I think Kelazhur needs to make the correct call and say, okay, I've had a good fight, but how many more good fights can I have? And I think he needs to go back home, actually. I think this is the correct call here. Running back home is not the move of losers, it's the move of someone that has a brain. One BC is going to get taken out, and so will 5 Corruptors. Another BC gets built immediately. Viper's on the way right now for Ragnarok, who's realizing that he's gonna need something extra if he wants to deal with this army. Hellbats will free the Thor, but the Thor ends up dying anyway in the end. Bottom side base has not been taken yet. That's going to be, well, potentially the 6th base here for Kelazhur. I kind of want to see the resource loss stat. I hope we do get to witness that in the near future. I don't think this should be any issue. Just lift it, fly it away, and it should be fine, right? Oh my god, the damage output of the puke is actually mental. It's so insane. Wait, didn't he relatively recently teleport back home? Are these off cooldown yet? If this Hive gets sniped, it would be nice as well. We see 3 more Vipers being built immediately. Being like, hey, we don't want this to happen. Does he not have teleport? No, he does. Kelazhur can just die. He was 1 BC there, right? I think he did. You have these Swarmers just chilling here on the bottom side. It felt like this game was really over at some point, and then Kelazhur just kind of stayed alive, and it felt a little bit disrespectful, but then making a game out of it still. Swords are going to be pulled in right now, and I think Ghost will be a bit of a necessity at this point, not so much a unit that you kind of want to transition into because you'd like to. No, it's really becoming kind of necessary. I don't understand the complete lack of ship weapons. The amount of shots that these BCs have fired, it could have dealt so much more damage. It's actually insane. Not just against corruptors, but also just against roaches, locusts, lynx, banelings, just anything. I don't quite understand that. War count is insane, by the way. I'm wondering why we're seeing so many Brute being constructed. I think it was 10 BCs that we just saw, or not 10 BCs, 10 Brute Lords that we just saw. But there's so many boards out already. Okay, 44k resources lost for Ragnarok against 34k for Kelazhur. Couple of big abducts. Finally, Vipers being used. This is like the final stage of Ragnarok. Look at this. He's just owning his army. Holy crap. He's actually blasting it. Here come the BCs. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Broodlords get taken out. 4 Battlecruisers teleport out. No more bank remaining for Ragnarok. He has the gold base. If it wasn't for the gold base, I'd say this is very playable right now for Kelazhur. But there is a gold base, and that's a little bit less playable, I guess. Burrows underneath this base means that Kelazhur can't even mine from a 6th. Kelazhur looking a little bit upset already. I'm not quite sure if that's necessary. I've been fairly negative about his chances in these games, but I mean, he's had harder times already in this game specifically, where it looked worse for him. Broodlords are massively off creep as well. Going for an actual off creep attack seems so risky. Seems so risky. This has, by the way, been a pretty fun and dynamic TVZ late game. It's really funny if you think back of just like 5-6 months ago. A lot of people really like watching TVZ late games, especially like the Bio Go stuff. Nowadays I think a lot of people, they kind of realize that the Bio Go stuff just tends to provide really boring games. And where people used to kind of say that mech was boring, now these mech late games are actually quite dynamic. You have the battle cruisers always making some plays, you have a lot of different attacks happening all over the place. It feels like you're consistently fighting for like the past, well, 18 minutes or so. I feel like we haven't had a minute where there wasn't a fight. It's actually kind of insane, either some kind of run by or something else happening. It's just constant engagements all over the map. This was a good fight, by the way, for Kelazhur. Well, good might be a bit of a over-exaggeration, but it was an okay fight here for Kelazhur. Remax is going to be on Roach Ling. This base still is taken out. That gold base is actually being an annoying little prick right now. Actually being an annoying little prick. At the same time, Ragnarok is also being an annoying little prick. Continuously taking out his bottom side base. The moment, though, we see like 10 mules fall here, it could change. Actually, gas also is a massive issue. Gas is just a massive issue, that's a fact. Here come the BCs getting taken out. No tanks in the back, and that means that the Roaches are going to perform quite well here. Corruptors dealing a lot of damage. Broodlords will get taken out. The Thors in the back do manage to stay alive. Look at the repair there on that one BC. It's not going to be enough. That was a good attempt, though. Good target fire on the Brutes as well. I think Ragnarok realizes that he's kind of breaking through at this point. I think that Kelazhur also realizes that it's 60k lost against 50k lost. And I don't think that's a big enough difference. If you continue down that path, as long as the gold is mining, I think Ragnarok will just end up winning, which is an issue. And if Ragnarok wins this game, don't forget, it means that the CLANWAR has been won for Alpha X. Doesn't mean that we don't get to see the last games, because no matter what happens for map score in the league, we will still play out every single game. It is a little bit sad though, that Team Liquid not managing to take a map out of the first 4 maps against Alpha X. 5 Hellions looking to get into position here. We have 6 Thors. Maybe it's possible. I don't know. We now have Neural Parasite coming in as well. Big attack once again. It feels like this is just half the army though of Ragnarok. I don't think he wants to fight with that. There was not a single Baneling there either. No Infestors, no Banelings. Corruptors once again kind of rotating towards the top side, perhaps thinking of peeing or puking on some building. Now 2 Cyclones will connect with the Corruptors. You had a siege up here, Chief? Love to see a sensor tower as well. I guess if you don't have that much cash, then you really need to think on what you want to spend your money on. A sensor tower is a bit of a luxury. Oh, these battlers could be very, very annoying if they don't get scanned immediately. Uh-oh. Here we go. Neural. We get a couple of scans, and that means that the units get given back to Kelazhur. But the Roachers are already in the Thors right now. Another pretty decent trade here for Ragnarok. Still some tanks in the back. We'll keep the dream alive. This game is just, once again, a game of like getting hope and then getting it crushed and then getting hope and getting it crushed. If I wouldn't be capable of looking at the supply, I don't even think it would look that bad for Kelazhur. Ooh, Ragnarok is smiling like a madman. Why is he smiling so much? Seems to be having a great time. Yeah, the big smile on his face there. What's so funny, Ragnarok? Is being an 8-tier player that good? Is it that much fun? I wouldn't know. Yeah, Thors are taken. Okay, Ragnarok actually wins again. I guess that's why he was smiling. He knew. The smile before the end. Wow. 33 Thors, 108 SCVs. Kelazhur looks extremely upset and distraught as Team Liquid loses 0-4 to Alpha X, but we still have Astrea versus Clem, a true foreign banger coming in. 2 more maps of that, but TL will get no points whatsoever from this CLANWAR. Alright, here we are in the main event of this CLANWAR, what should have been the main event, but instead is going to be an unimportant match. Clem, our 8-tier player, 83 points, total score, very strong in micro, 10 out of 10 points in micro, solid on the defense, solid on the macro, a little bit weaker in strategy. We have Astrea with a strong defense and extremely strong in strategy as well, lacking in some other parts with a B-tier score here for Astrea. As we hop straight into our first game, which is going to be played on Stargazers and thus will be considered Protoss favored. The Liquid Clem in the top right is our blue Terran, and we have Astrea in the top left. Here we get to see him. Here we go. As our red Protoss player. Once again, the only thing that this really matters for is going to be map score. And if you guys, which is very possible, have never heard of the World Team League before, it's being played every single week, or at least most weeks. Sometimes due to some scheduling conflicts it won't be there. There's about 6 clan wars every single week, 2 a day, 3 playing days. Usually will be live streamed on Twitch by, I want to say, Wardy or Steadfast. Usually takes care of that, so you can have a look over that. And otherwise a lot of them will end up on YouTube, and some of them just don't get casted at all. So I was like, well, you know what, let me put some of these on YouTube as well. Let me make sure that everyone gets to see it. I think the World Team League is one of the coolest leagues that we currently have. It is kind of a grassroots tournament run by a Chinese organizer called SC Boy, which have just been running this for a couple of years now. It started with a purely Chinese league, then they started inviting foreign teams as well, and yeah, it's turned into this really cool ecosystem. A lot of the teams actually kind of came out of this. Like if you think of DPG, Kaizi Gaming, they kind of just really just exist for this league. I believe it's like some rich Chinese people that have those teams and then just play their players a crap ton of money, and they kind of they fight against each other and see who can get the best team. I love it. A rich person's hobby. Must be nice. Alright, what do we have here as an opener? This looks to me like it's just going to be a standard Viper expand coming out of Clem. Well, at the same time out of Astrea we have a standard core first into Nexus opener with, well, wait, no second gas? Am I seeing that correct? I think I am seeing that correct. That was a no... Wait, what? And now cancelling the warp gate? Now rebuilding the warp gate. Throwing down a robotics facility? Okay, I'm a little bit lost, of course. I have no clue what's happening. I just don't understand what this is. Show me what you got, my American friend, because I am at an absolute loss right now. I've never seen this before. This specific strat. Astrea is so creative when it comes to... Oh my god, he gets the Reaper. That's huge here. That is massive. Yeah, Astrea is very creative when it comes to build orders and thinking of things like that he can do. Just little tricks that he has. What is this? Is this a fast third? Is this a quick prism? Are there going to be 4 gateways added here? Okay, it's an immortal. This is all of one gas. This is all of one gas. Did he pull out of gas? He pulled out of gas. Oh my god, I love this build order. Oh, I really love this build order. This is such an old school build that we used to play against Zerg. Back then I think we actually did it with 2 Immortals. So you get 2 Immortals and then you just warp in a crap ton of Zealots as well, or 5 gate. Okay, he's gonna play this with 6 gate. 30 workers, 32 workers. He's going to go up to 32 workers. So maximum mineral saturation, 1 Immortal, a Prism. Oh my good lord. What a brilliant little build here out of Astrea. I am a fan. I am definitely a fan of this build order. I wonder if this will work. And what is it good against? What is it bad against? Look how fast this hits. This is crazy. And he's using every single unit. And all of them can fit into this bad boy. Look at this. Uh-oh. Cyclone is going to get attacked here immediately. Here we get a 4 Zealot warp in to start with. Next warp in is going to consist of 6 Zealots. It's going to just be pure Zealots and Immortals. That is going to be the name of the game here. As more Marines are coming in. Immortal not really dealing a lot of damage because it is busy chasing crap. Now, the problem here for Astrea is going to be to get the next warp in. It's going to be so important. Cyclone tries to move forward, but gets targeted down here by the Immortal. More Zealots warping in right now. More SCVs being taken out as pro production resumes here as well. Oh my god, I'm in love with what Astrea is doing over here. Absolutely in love. This is a really cool build. Holy crap. What a fun build order. He got kind of unlucky build order-wise. I mean, there was a blind Cyclone, there was 2 barracks as well, and yet it is still looking extremely strong. The only problem that I see with this build, is if there is somewhat of a straight Viking being constructed, right? That could be a real issue. It would have been a real issue. This was a 2-1-1 start for Clem with a Cyclone, which is, I think, the best build order, or one of the best build orders, against what Astrea is doing here. And yet Astrea is still having an absolute blast. Okay, Stim finishes up. Now the Medivacs are going to be dealing a lot of healing out to these Marines. These Marines are dishing out a crap ton of damage with the Stim as well. Yeah, this is pain. This is absolute pain. Worker count still in favor of Astrea. 6 more Zealots get warped in. Immortal, so important for it to stay alive because it's the only thing that actually deals damage. Zealots just don't get any time to hit these Marines. Not with Clem's micro at least. Combat shield is finishing up soon as well. Good control out of Astrea. Maybe we get an adept warping right now. I wouldn't have minded it with the gas available. You could say it might even have been necessary. Oh, target fire on the Prism is not going to get taken out. Good pickup as well on that Immortal. Once again, 7 more workers being taken out. I wouldn't mind... Oh, Immortal died. I wouldn't have minded seeing a faster Robo-Wave being built behind this either. I think that could have been good. Prism goes down. A lot of money in the bank for Astrea, who's still only stuck on 2 bases. Up 11 workers, builds a couple of Stalkers. But I think he knows that he's lost. We see the big sigh. We see a moment of sadness there for Astrea. What a sick build order, though. What a sick build order. Holy crap. I love that. I really love that. I'm glad I watched this still. I was like, should I actually watch the final games? Or... you know, the moment it hits 4-0, just give up. And I'm glad we just are here till the very end, because this is a good strategy. You see that Astrea also prepared this, right? Like, this is a very prepared build, and he didn't want this preparation to go to waste. Like, alright, I want to try and take a map with it. Still in the game, of course. Like, the game isn't over yet, but it feels like it's over. There's no real tech here for Astrea. There's poor map vision for Astrea. He has no catch, no blink, no phoenixes. He has no charge, which means that Zealots will never be capable of connecting with this army. He has a poor gateway army without upgrades, without any unit-specific upgrades. It is just all garbage right now. That is what it is. With Stim and Combat finishing up with 4 Medivacs here, this push is going to be really difficult to hold. Robo, oh my god. Talking about the bit of an Arcot, well actually there's a second pilot. The Tasteless pilot to back up the Arcotus pilot there. This bad boy gets taken out, robotics facility gets taken out. Clem can probably fight this. Can he? It's a lot of Stalkers still. Not sure if he wants to fight it. He could just wait for like 3 or 4 extra Marauders and this fight would be insanely one-sided. Yeah, Astrea can't really move into this right, because of that mine. Good control though out of Astrea. Takes out that mine but loses 2 Stalkers in return. Concussive Shell has finished up. I think Clem needs to pick up right now. It's going to end up losing 1 Medivac. We'll take out a couple more of these stalkers. The control Clem is fairly good here. He's winning in these trades, right? Even though he's going to be forced to pick up here and piss off. He has so many extra units coming in. Those 3 Marauders will be a massive issue. I think Astrea is well aware of that as well. I think Astrea is very well aware of that. +1 finishing up as well. There are 2 sentries. There is a battery which can even turn into a super battery, but I mean, with this healing, in my mind, nothing should be possible anymore for Astrea. There's just so many medevacs here, which is really a big thing. If there's no splash, if there's no zealots, if there's no archons, no upgrades. Astrea is defending this so well for how bad his position is. I'm thoroughly impressed by his ability to stay in the game. Clem right now cursing his teammates for not getting a couple of points on the board, because I mean, it feels like a useless win basically for him, right? I know it's important to get maps, but in that moment it doesn't feel as important, and it's difficult to play your A game. It's really relaxed to play though, because you know it doesn't matter anymore. So there's a certain freedom with the playing that you get to do. It's fairly over. 1 Colossus is going to pop out in the near future, but Clem is just going to continuously be trading here. He's in an equal worker count. Mines are going to hit. Everything gets taken out. GG gets called, and Clem wins game number 1. Looks okay with it, but not super happy. He's grown out his hair a little bit, by the way. Hang on to the... Last time I saw him, I think his hair was a lot shorter. He actually looked pretty happy there in the end. Good for him. Alright, let's hop into the next one. Alright, here we are in our second game between Clem and Astrea. So we have a probe scouting around. Doing not much of anything. And once again a Reaper opener. It's kind of funny that Clem is playing these Reaper expands. This feels like one of these builds that kind of has fallen out of fashion with the high level Terrans. Most Terrans at the highest level currently enjoy playing double gas openers. Which technically is a Reaper expand, but a very different kind, right? Really quick attack. I'm curious why Clem prefers this right now. I wish I could ask him. I can ask him, actually. He's a friend on Discord. Clem also always responds. This is one of the things that always surprises me, how willing people in StarCraft 2 are just to help you out with stuff. They're all competitors, but I'll ask him something and he'll answer truthfully. Or at least, I believe it's truthfully. Although I am technically his opponent, we're not even in the same team anymore. There's really no purpose for him to help me. But if I ask him a question, I'm pretty sure he would still answer. Very kind. Reaper's going to get pushed back here. Poof! Adept takes a hit. Triple CC, look at that. This is a build order. This is an actual build order. Was this with a... I didn't pay attention. Was this with a Marine? It must have been, because his reactor is a little bit late. Reaper finishes at 2, and the reactor takes 36 seconds. So either he forgot the reactor for 18 seconds, or he just built a Marine. And in that case, I think building the Marine is a more likely explanation, honestly. Does mean you're going to get 1 less Marine overall. So it's really important you keep the Reaper alive. Oh, this is I like this build. This is Astrea's special build order. Once again with a single gas. Look at that. Single gas build order for a second time. This time with a fast triple CC. Adept, Stalker, into Sentry. Does he get another Sentry? I'm not so sure if he does. He's gonna get a second Gateway already. Doesn't get a 4th unit here. Okay. Interesting stuff. No info whatsoever for Clem. Robotics facility on the way. Is being constructed in the natural, I think. Ooh. Now, funnily enough, I really liked Clem's build order, but against this specific build, I think Clem's build couldn't have been worse. I think this is the worst, the absolute worst case scenario. Out of anything, out of all the build orders that exist, this is the worst. Literally out of everything. For a couple of reasons. One, Astrea is going to get an absolutely clean scout here with this hallucination as to what is going on. B, Astrea has a faster third base in position and thus mining quicker, faster production. And C, it is going to be a 3-rack setup with late factory against a robo setup, which means that Colossi will be out really fast. Upgrades can be out really fast for Protoss as well, and the eco is going to be off the freaking charge. Right now, technically, what Astrea could do is even take a fort base off of this already. And we see a probe moving out there. This is a ballsy call to make, and it can feel a little bit scary, but I do believe that it is the correct call here, getting this fort base. You can basically survive off of no units and a single Colossus, because the only push that is kind of scary is like some weird marine push, but a single Colossus will make short work of that. You're just producing out of your robo, out of your gateways, and you should be completely fine. Like this, I think this is as close to a build order win as you can get. You could put, I think, most tosses in this situation, and you just end up so far ahead that it becomes almost impossible to lose. Almost impossible to lose. It's still possible, and if there's a player that can do it, it would be Clem. The funny thing with this scout that Clem just made with that marine is that Clem doesn't even know if this is a third or a fourth base. No, he knows. Okay, he's moving out. He's okay, this is a fourth base. That's messed up. He's gonna move out. There's going to be a Colossus. If there's a battery as well, and any amount of gateway units with it, this push will do nothing. The army deficit, the supply deficit that Clem is already working with at this point, and that's going to ramp up even further in the next minute and a half, is actually insane. Look at this. Colossus This is such a sick build. Clem is like, oh crap, I need to do something as well. I think he already sent an SCV over for his own fort base 6 minutes into the game. This is, yeah, he scans this. He is not happy with this. Clem is not happy with this whatsoever. Like, oh my god. The one time I play a triple CC build, I get to play against this. Look at this! 80 workers, 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. Astrea is having the time of his life right now. Like, he's never had a game like this. This is basically like playing against the AI for him, because there's not going to be any pressure for the first 7 minutes, and he by far played the greediest build that exists in the entire world. Like, this is great. This is just great to watch. Protoss greed is better than Terran greed. It's just an absolute fact. Now, Protoss greed also has a lot of holes in it, of course. You can easily die if you open like this. There's a lot of factory builds that could deal some damage to you, but that's not what Clem went for, and he's in so much trouble. He's actually in so much trouble. He's getting a second starport, he's getting a Ghost Academy as well. Oh, I love this, though. I really do love this. Second Forge on the way, Templar Archives. Probably want to even see a 5th base sometime soon, I would think. These sounds are so bad. But I like it as well. I like these kind of crazy out there sounds that these Marines have when they die. God. I wish we could pick the sounds of other languages. Not the actual voices, but just the sound. The Marine sound dying is so much more satisfying. Even Marauders have like a pretty deep voice when they die. Sounds really good. I wish we could pick that like individually, like different sounds for the unit dying. You like customize it. That would be really sick. I'd pay for that. It'd also be sick if you could edit that yourself. I bet you could in the map editor, couldn't you? Woo! Whenever a Marine dies. Would make for a pretty sick custom game. The problem for Clem here is that Clem's play usually is very... It kind of revolves around denying fort bases. With a Viking Ghost army, that's one of his favorite things to do. That's a kind of his playstyle in this matchup. But right now the fort base finished at the 6-minute mark, so it's not really viable to do anymore. Like his power spike, he's power spiking against nothing currently. And here we see Astrea moving in with a Prism, with 4 Zealots, Disruptors being built behind this. Here we go, it's moving in, 9 Zealot Warp in as well at the same time. And simultaneously an attack at the front. Good force fields here, actually catching a big chunk of this army. Vikings are being shot out of the sky as well. How's the run by doing in the natural? Well, the Prism got taken out, but the Zealots are still alive. I do believe that Astrea needs to be careful here with these fights, or you might accidentally give Clem a little bit of momentum, which is something you'd never want to do. Second Prism has arrived. Sensor Tower is being taken out as well. Attacking into this planetary seems like a mistake, though. Almost would say just attack in between the third and the fourth phase, as there's no planetary there to kind of fall back to. Disruptors are being constructed right now, as these Colossi are forcing out a lot of repairs. Pure right click there on that planetary. Disruptor gets a shot on a lot of the ghosts, on a lot of the marauders. This seems to be a pretty okay fight for Clem, actually. I thought it was going to be fine for Astrea, but the 2-2 upgrades against the 2-1 are putting in some work. Astrea in trouble here. Clem pushing through. Oh no. Astrea going too hard here. Ooh, big disruptor shot, not going to connect. Okay. Wow. Holy crap. That is impressive. That is very impressive. This was a complete loss. This game was over. 5 times over. Holy cow. 3-3 on the way right now for Clem as well. Eco still looking somewhat okay though. For Astrea with 90, well, somewhat okay. Freaking out of this world. 97 workers. There's like 16 gateways as well. Like his infrastructure is still insane. But the actual army, like composition, the army value, I kind of want to see that again. How many disruptors do we have here? Oh, we have 4. That is significant. No, that is significant. I underestimated that for sure. Still doesn't feel like Astrea can just be on the map. Probably needs to be working a lot with run-bys right now if he wants to make something work. 10 zealots being warped in. 6 more gates on the way. Eco still is mental for Astrea with 4k minerals coming in a minute. 1.1k in the gas as well. Dark Shrine on the way. Okay, we have a big move out. Almost feel like Clem should try and counterattack with a part of his army. He's a little bit slow in the response when it comes to that. Instead, it's just opting for a big flank here, it seems like. Oh, here comes the flank. Could be successful. Disruptor shot not going to connect with a whole lot. Second disruptor shot will also not connect with a whole lot. Clem once again with a pretty okay fight here. It seems like every single Colossus will end up falling. Disruptor shot, no. Going to get dodged. Clem pulling ahead in supply once more. Taking better fights time after time again. Army supply also up way higher. I'm looking a little bit upset there, or maybe just some pain in his shoulders. He made some wild movements with his shoulders. 3 more CCs on the way. 8 extra cannons. There's no storm, by the way, which is important to note always. +2 ship weapons coming in for Clem. Allows him maybe in the near future. Medifacts. That's 2 medifacts that go down there. It's kind of pooping on that parade. Left side army is going to be moving in right now, though. That is so good with these split armies. So ridiculously good. Here we go. Big EMP disruptor shots moving in. Planetary perhaps in some trouble. Clem decides to go back home once more. This is a scary fight for Astrea, as a lot of his disruptors are running dry. 3, 4, 5 disruptors end up falling. Can Clem push through this choke? I think he could potentially. Astrea right now is praying for a big disruptor hit, and so far hasn't really gotten it. Is running in with a big run by though near the planetary. DT Zealot will get stopped by a Liberator and a quick repair pool. Sensor Tower of course saw that coming a mile away. This base is going to most likely fall, I think. No, there's no ghost in this army. Then gate units aren't even that bad. Clem needs to be careful, and he realizes, I was like, hey, wait a second. If I get surrounded here, this isn't my entire army. This is just a part of my army. This could still be scary. But honestly, right now, pure Zealot, Disruptor, Stalker, DT? How scary is that? A couple of good EMPs destroy an army like that. Or at least tends to usually be the case. Lots of cash, of course, in the bank here for Astrea, who continues expanding during all of this. Which is one of these things that is really cool to watch. Okay, Purification Nova's coming out. Will not connect with anything whatsoever. But the planetary gets destroyed. And we basically have a free retreat here as well at the same time. Which also is quite important. Clem. Ooh, Liberator moving in. Almost has the, what you call it? The Liberator range upgrade. Advanced Ballistics, that's what it's called. Ooh! I think 2 Disruptors do end up dying there. 1 full medevac gets sniped. Not the end of the world. This Liberator is dealing some good damage. With +2 ship weapons means that at least 4 Stalkers need to be warped in. Once Advanced Ballistics finishes there, I think that base can't even really mine properly anymore. Not sure if Clem wants to wait for that. Yeah, he does want to wait for that. Good call. This gets sniped. This is a scary fight, though, for Clem with the Disruptors in solid aggressive positions. Can we get a flank going here, Clem? I don't think Clem actually can. No, he can't. From the back. Backstabbered. Very cool. 6 workers being produced at a time here for Astrea. Who wants to go back up to the higher 90s, I guess. The 90s is the best time period. It's when I was born. And thus, the best time period. A couple of EMPs will hit on these Stalkers. A couple of Liberators will shoot down these Zealots. SCVs dying at this point isn't that big of a deal, as long as it's not every single SCV. Once again, Astrea loses a fight, but wins in mining. Triple Disruptor being produced out of, well, 3 robos. It would be sick if he builds 3 Disruptors out of 2 robos. Not a fight that Astrea can take. This is a solid defense once more. Clem probably wants to be moving back to the right side. Hello, Observer, can we see that? Blink forward. 2 Liberators in the far back in position. Will snipe a couple more Stalkers, but this Orbital Command is going to get taken out. Clem coming in with the flank is going to push back this army, but at the same time, this army is going to survive, and that is an issue. That is a real issue, actually. We just have Astrea constantly bleeding units. He's down 7k in overall trades, but he's still up massively in money. He's outmining his opponent. He's outbasing his opponent. Every single time Astrea loses a base, he takes another base somewhere else. It feels like it's just never ending here. I do believe that Clem can win this fight pretty convincingly as well, yeah. Hardly losing anything there whatsoever. Cannons are not dealing too much damage either. Only a single Lipper at the same time. Left side's going to get taken out. Slow response out of Clem for once. Oh no, loses that planetary. That was a key base. That was such an important base. The fact that that base dies is huge. Absolutely huge. That's going to massively lower his overall income. That is a very, very big deal, actually. That base should have not died. Clem just too slow with the response there to the Zealots and the DTs. There wasn't even that many DTs, so the planetary died rather slow. Clem not in that bad of a position still, though. Has a lot of Liberators here, making it difficult for his opponent to attack into this. +3 ship weapons has finished up as well. It seems like Astrea decides, you know what? I don't actually think I can fight into this. Let me just try to go for a base trade. I have more bases after all. And I can lose this top right side base as long as you don't take any extra bases. These are going to end up falling to this lip. This planetary splits out of Clem. Is it going to be good enough though? I don't think so. Clem losing a lot of supply here. And the moment Clem loses supply, he can't really replace it because he doesn't have that much income, doesn't have that much in bank either. What an insane game. Holy crap, what an insane game to end this with. Full-on base trade scenario, 18 minutes into the game. Well, not really full-on base trade. Seems like Clem is the only one that has truly committed. Yeah, to the base trade. Could perhaps pick up. No. Loses a lot of units here. Liberators sieging up at the same time. More Disruptors are connecting with the bio. And I think that this is actually going to be it. Because there's just not enough bio here anymore. There's plenty of money for Astrea. Astrea still has 2.2k income in minerals. Has 2 bases mining still somewhere. Yeah, can just warp in, what was it, 16 extra Zealots or so? 13 Zealots at a time. This is a tricky location to burst though, especially with triple lips in position already. Uh-oh. Ow. This ain't good. This is scary, this is scary. Going to move in. Nah, she's going to clean this up for free, basically. There still are a lot of orbital commands, which means that, yes, the 43 worker sucks, but perhaps with 10 mules or so, you can do something. Look at these lips go. Pew, pew. Another Stalker gets taken out. Maybe another Disruptor can fall as well. Oh my god. Liberator's going to stay alive. Clem. I thought this game was completely over, honestly. It's still 6 Liberators against 9 Stalkers. If these lips get in a good aggressive position and mining can get denied, It needs to happen soon though, because the income is not evenly distributed here in this society. The Terran is getting way less than the Protoss is. 81 workers again for the TOS. Astrea just keeps rebuilding and rebuilding workers again and again and again. Oi, 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 oi. What a way to play this game here for Astrea. Look at that, 6 workers at a time, going back up to 90 right now. Once again has that top right side base mining as well. Yeah, it's going to be so hard here for Clem. He does have a Liberator in the top. It's going to take out a lot of crap. There's a Liberator over here, which will at least deny 2 patches. Can you blink into this area? Not sure if you can. Probably can. DTs get taken out here. Good scan out of Clem. Army supply still surprisingly even. Oop, look at this. Freaking ship weapons level 2 is so sick. So sick. 2-shotting Stalkers, of course. It's actually mental to watch. Here we go. 5 more DTs moving in. I thought they were jumping on top of the turret, and I think Clem thought the same thing. They are kind of jumping on the turret. We need a scan, we need a scan, we need a scan. Scan's not happening. Blink forward out of the Stalkers. Means that these Liberators might get sniped, but actually a lot of Stalkers end up falling. 37 workers against 81, but 90 supply against 70. 102 SCVs have gone down in a 21-minute game. Holy crap. Astrea's insane worker count is what actually wins this game, I think. If he wins. I'm still not sure. It feels like it's constantly one fight away from completely turning around. Which is really wild. I wonder what decision Astrea makes here. Does he want to defend this, or does he just counterattack onto the planetary? It's so difficult, this type of decision. So difficult. Because if you defend and you lose, you're gonna start losing bases. Because this is really close to your own bases. Right now he's just being patient. He is not making a decision. He's saying, I can wait, actually. I'll get more money. I have so many bases. I have so many gateways. Oh! Disruptor shot almost hits a big clump. Well, not quite though. Okay, here comes the attack. Astrea coming in from 2 sides. Lots of Zealots moving in as well. Blink forward out of these Stalkers. Liberators are gonna get cleaned up. Astrea waited long enough, it feels like. Will be capable of clearing all of these high-value Liberators that take such a long time to build in the starport. I think Astrea is very happy with that trade overall. It's warping in, what, 10, 12 more Zealots, 10 more Zealots, 3, 4 more DTs. 2 Disruptors get rallied into absolutely nothingness there. There's 3 starports, there's 5 Liberators being produced. At the same time, this run is going to get taken out as well. This game is insane, holy crap. This game is actually mad. And I do believe, yeah, GG! Astrea wins it, giving this CLANWAR with a 5-1 score to Alpha X. Of course, it wasn't necessary for him to win any maps, but he's still pretty happy that he did. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you so much, and bye-bye.